over the scriptures. And the reason why we talk over the scriptures is because we think the Bible's best when it's discussed with one another. And we just really encourage everyone to get in groups and get with a friend and just talk about the Bible. I think it's just so much fun to do it that way. And so that's why we're doing this, John. And we are doing Acts 5:12 through 16. Are you excited about this one, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's some good stuff. I'm going to read it. And I mean, if there's anybody watching live, you can always ask a question, right? And we can interact with them.
Yep. Live online or
look, Tim's watching from Japan.
What up, Tim? Dude, it's 7 a.m. on Thursday. Oh, I just lost John. So, Tim, I'm so glad that you're here, man. That's awesome. So as soon as John gets back, we'll continue on. But hey, Ruby, it's good to see you. Good to see you. So awesome. Awesome stuff. So we are doing, and I guess John will pop in, and if he does, cool. If not, I'll just do it. What's up, James? It's good to see you, my friend. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we are doing 12 through 16, and we got some cool stuff. It's not a lot of scripture. We will jump back in. In fact, John is going to jump back in right now. What's up?
Sorry about that, guys.
Something just kind of.
I don't know. It just kicked me out. Oh, good technology, right?
But I'm glad that Tim's with us because Tim is in charge of Worship Center International in Japan.
That's right.
Right.
It's a great church, a great campus.
Right campus, great campus. Good to see you, Brenda.
Good people.
Yeah, awesome. Someday I'd like to go with Tim and go to the top of Mount Fuji. Is it Fuji?
Yeah. There's a Mount Fuji. I don't know where it is, but
yeah, it's in Japan.
There you go.
You can hike at the top of it. A lot of people do. So it's on my bucket list, John. All right. So, John, I'm punting the ball to you. You're going to read this out, and we're going to discuss it.
All right. I love it. This is chapter 5, verse 12, and it says, "The apostles performed many signs and wonders among the people, and all the believers used to meet together in Solomon's colonnade. No one else dared join them, even though they were highly regarded by the people. Nevertheless, more and more men and women believed in the Lord and were added to their number. As a result, people brought the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and mats so that at least Peter's shadow might fall on some of them as he passed by." Wow. Crowds gathered also from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing their sick and those tormented by impure spirits, and all of them were healed. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there.
So, John, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about one verse, and then you can kind of comment. We can kind of go through it there if that's okay.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
First that pops out at me is this idea on verse 12. It says the apostles performed many signs and wonders. Now, John, that language sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
That language of signs and wonders, specifically when we hear and see what John's gospel account of Jesus, he talked a lot about, he didn't really call them miracles, he called them signs. And this theme kind of continues on even with Luke's account of the early church being signs and wonders. That the focal point, oftentimes people focus in on the miracles and how awesome the miracles were, but really the miracles were really a signpost pointing to something awesome, something that God was doing among the people. The purpose of the miracle was not the healing or the whatever. The purpose of the miracle was to point that God is doing something, and it in a sense puts a stamp of approval of what God is doing among the people, where now the Jewish people are looking at this going, wow, God is doing something. So it's a kind of an evangelistic type approach. God's doing something among their midst, and he uses these power encounters, these power moments, these miracles as a way to point people to Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And in the gospel account of John, it talks a lot about that, like you said, and it was pointing towards Jesus, and God is saying, "Hey, something new is here. I'm it. This is me. I'm here." And then now it's kind of like you said, it's pointing towards this idea that, hey, God's using these guys. This isn't just another thing that's passing by. This is a real deal. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing in this verse is Solomon's colonnade, which is really interesting. Now, most of the time we would pass over something like that. Okay, great, it's a cool place, but that place does not exist after 70 AD. So this is proof that Luke is writing this before 70 AD.
Wow.
After that, it does no longer exist because of what Titus does. And he just ransacks Jerusalem. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are killed. It's brutality at its finest. So this proves this is an early account. So anyone that would try to convince you that would write and say, hey, no, Luke was way after the fact. It wasn't written by Luke. It was written by someone else hundreds of years later. Or this is proof that they're wrong. So,
wow, that's pretty cool. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Verse 13, very interesting. No one else dared join them, even though they were highly regarded by the people. And I love that. They had a great reputation, but people were scared to join the Christianity. And I think there's a couple of reasons, right, John? I mean, maybe the Ananias and Sapphira freaked some people out.
Yeah,
maybe some of the persecution that was going on with the Romans and with the Jewish religion, on Christianity. Maybe was it a fact, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. Really have nothing else other than it says, nevertheless, more and more men and women believed in the Lord and were added to their number.
So there were still people following Jesus. They
Mhm.
just maybe weren't joining them, getting together in the big colonnade. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, and I think it's twofold. Honestly, I think some people were not ready to commit to faith in Jesus because of a little bit of the persecution. Maybe I mean, it just really doesn't say. So we're here to only wonder and just speculate. But it could be a lot of things. It could be some people just didn't want to meet in public. Some people didn't want to just be a part of the faith, but still people were coming to faith in the midst of some of the people not deciding to. And of course, then, and what I see is Peter's shadows healing the sick. I think this is an easy thing when we read through the book of Acts, where people that tend to lean on the charismatic type would say, why isn't stuff like this happening? And, that's a good question. I really don't know. Maybe there's some stories that is, but again, the point was not the miracle. The point was the sign.
Yeah.
Pointing to something. God had to get people's attention, and this was one of the ways that God got people's attention. He was kind of putting the stamp of his approval for all the Jewish audience, and the power encounter was really making the Gentiles kind of be like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
So do you have anything to add kind of on that?
No, just the thought that, I mean, it reminds you of Jesus, what Jesus is, of his ministry, as he's walking through the streets and people are trying to touch his garment and just get close to him. And then you see God using Peter and the disciples in the same way. And now it's Jesus in them. So just kind of a cool thought that it was Jesus before, and now he's using them to do what he needs to do. And again, like you said, it's to point to who God is. That, hey, this is the real deal. This isn't some pass me by type thing. So
right, and we just got to be careful, John, that we don't build a position or build a doctrine or theology based on what God was doing in that moment. That sometimes God does in that moment. He can continue to do that, but it's up to him. And to try to somehow, criticize someone. Well, if you're a Christian, then your shadow should be healing people. Huh? My shadow hasn't healed anybody. But God's still doing amazing things, right, in people's life, and God
Yeah.
uses people in different ways. And so it's better not to criticize and just say, God, use me like you need to use me in this time and this now for the people that are around me.
Yeah, I think that's really important because not every, God uses individuals and he uses different people for different times. And, not everybody's Paul, not everybody's Peter, not everybody is, Billy Graham. I mean, everybody is used in a different way at a different time. There's been times where I've prayed for people and they've gotten healed on mission trips or even just, not even in a church. And there's been other times where I prayed and they don't get healed right then or however. And it's like, man, it's because it's not about me. It's about him. It's about what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. And that's really valuable to know.
And I think that's a good point. It's not about you. And whenever we try to hijack the gospel or hijack some kind of experience to make it about us, we've perverted the gospel.
Yeah, that's good.
We perverted the
Yeah,
gospel.
and I think this is maybe a side note, but I think we tend to do that not just when we're praying for someone to get healed, but we do something and something works out in our favor, and we think, "Oh, I figured out the loophole on how to get what I want or how to do what I need," and it's just not how it is.
Right.
God's doing different stuff at different times, and sometimes we think, "Well, I need to do it this certain way in order to get my desired result," and
Right.
that's just a terrible theology.
Right. Or try to look at acts as a, hey, this is how you should do it exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, God is doing his work, and the best thing is to say, hey, God, use me how you need to use me, and I make myself available to you.
yeah,
But it's interesting that this is kind of a prototypical thing that's happening, that it happened for Jesus and it's happening for these disciples. And it's just really cool that it's continuing on, and
yeah,
how important it was for Luke to capture that, to say, hey, the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead is dwelling in his disciples and is doing amazing things. And this happens to be your faith legacy too. And that
yeah,
God can do amazing works in you. And there's amazing signs and wonders that happen all around the world. And so, but don't view that as a measurement of spirituality, but God's doing his thing, and saying, yes, Lord, I'm a part and be a part.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's good stuff.
well, that's really all I have, John. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. Of course, Brenda, we said, oh, Alicia, we got to say hi to Alicia. What's going on, Alicia?
What up, Alicia?
Yeah, Jesus is risen, and I think that was snow on the ground. Hey, Carol, it's good to
Hey,
see you.
Carol.
Always good to hear Ruby. Absolutely. Well, John, something interesting is happening next week. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, this weekend we're jumping into a brand new series, Justin, and it's called "You're Not the Boss of Me," and so we're excited about that. And so we're going to be taking over, lean in a little bit, and we're gonna at the each Wednesday we're gonna be looking at different things, different emotions, and we're gonna be diving into the sermon a little bit deeper and taking our conversation there. And so I think it's going to be a great time.
Right. So, in a sense, Lean In is going to continue for the next 6 weeks, but we're going to shift focus a little bit, and
Yeah,
we're going to look at, we're just going to dive down in that subject matter. And the reason for that, we really wanted to have extra content, and we thought this would be a great platform for that. And so, we're going to put pause on Acts for a little bit, but we're also going to have a little bit different format, right, John?
yeah, we are. So why don't you want to talk about that or?
No, I just wanna leave people in suspense. You know me. I'm like, "I'm not telling you anything. You're gonna have to check out next week and see
Yeah,
what we do."
gonna be good.
Totally different format, and hopefully it comes across better, and we don't have to deal with lag and all that different kinda stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it's not fun. Not fun at all.
Yeah. Or get knocked off the thing. So I had to get
Completely.
up
Yeah,
and read.
I have no idea.
Well, hey, everybody, was so good to see you. And we'll see you next week where Lean In will start talking about the emotions that try to control us and what God has to say about that. So see you this weekend and see you next